Are you thinking of upgrading to the iPhone 15 Pro Max? Is it worth the upgrade? Let's find out. Now, this is not going to be a review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. There's plenty of those all around, but rather my thoughts on whether you should upgrade to the latest Apple iPhone or not. And to that, I will say probably not. Don't get me wrong, the 15 Pro Max is a great phone. It brings a lot of long-awaited features, like USB-C, finally, thanks to the EU. It adds a 5x telephoto lens, which is, again, about time Apple caught up with that. It has a titanium body, which is more durable, stronger, and also lighter than the 14 Pro Max. It has a better camera, and it has a customizable action button that replaces the silent rocker that's been on iPhones since forever. If it's such a great phone, why do I say probably it's not worth upgrading to? That's because as great as these new additions are, it's only slightly better than the 14 Pro Max. And it's no surprise, we're now in an age where there's less and less innovation year after year, but more incremental updates, to the point where I think it only makes sense to upgrade your phone every 2 or even 3 years. And only then would you feel that you're actually getting something new and worth upgrading for. Otherwise, every year it's just going to be slight improvements, slight improvements, slight improvements. 3 years later, these add up to major improvement. Now, the USB-C on the iPhone 15 Pro Max is something I have been personally looking forward to for a long time. Finally, I can carry with me one cable to charge my iPhone, my MacBook, my iPad, my AirPods, and almost anything under the sun. The USB-C port also enables a few other things, like way faster transfer speeds on the 15 Pro Max. But who transfers large files via cable these days? Not me. It also enables reverse charging, so you can, for example, charge your AirPods by plugging them into your iPhone, which is cool to have. Not a game changer, but nice to have. But also it enables recording videos, for example, directly to an SSD if you plug this in. The next thing I was looking forward to is the 5x telephoto zoom. I was hoping it would be more than 5x, but Apple stuck to 5. On the 14 Pro Max, you were limited to 3x. Anything beyond that was digital. Now you get 5x, so a little bit more reach. It's nice to have for those moments where you want to zoom in. There's also slight improvement to the camera. The hardware remains rather similar, but more so in the processing area. And the iPhone 15 Pro Max now shoots 24 megapixel images versus 12 megapixels on the 14 Pro Max. Now, the titanium on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is Apple's, or one of Apple's major marketing messages, is said to be stronger and more durable. To be honest, I couldn't care less. The titanium is the actual frame over here. That's never what breaks on an iPhone if you drop it. The weak point is the glass on both the front and the back. And although it might be more durable than the steel on the 14 Pro Max, this is not what breaks in your phone. So the durability part, I don't buy that. However, one real advantage is it being lighter, and although it's around 20 grams lighter, it is noticeably lighter in the hand. Now, eventually you're going to get used to that weight, whatever the weight is, but I was carrying both the 14 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max for a while, and as soon as you hold the 15 Pro Max, you instantly feel it is lighter. So that part is an advantage I'm happy with. Moving on to the action button. To be honest, I was quite excited about this feature when I saw it in the keynote. In practice, I found I was less excited. It's nice that you can customize it to do a bunch of different things. For example, for a while I had it open the camera, which is nice to have. Instead of fidgeting with the camera shortcut over here, you just press and hold and it launches the camera. What I did not like were two things. One, the placement. It's very close to the volume up button, and I found myself pressing the wrong button every now and then. I would have put it either further away or on the other side next to the power button, which is much larger, so it's much easier to differentiate the two. And the second thing I did not like was that you need to press and hold for that shortcut to run, and it's only one shortcut. So as much as I really liked having the camera on the action button, I also want to be able to mute or silence the iPhone with the press of a button. Now, ideally, I would have liked if you could do two shortcuts on the action button, press and hold for one shortcut and double press for another shortcut. That would have been great, and I really hope Apple adds this to future software updates. I don't think they will, but wishful thinking. That way I could have double click for silent, for example, and press and hold for a camera. So in terms of what's new, that's about all. The bezels are ever so slightly thinner, nothing that you would notice. And of course, the processor is faster, as is the case every single year. But again, I don't buy it, or I don't buy the benefit unless you do extreme things on the iPhone or you are an extreme gamer. Then yes, the benefit might be there for you. But for most people, the iPhone 14 Pro Max was blazing fast. Is a little bit faster gonna be noticeable? Absolutely not. Not in everyday use, at least. So my conclusion, if you should upgrade or not. Now, let me get one thing straight. I think it's a great phone. Personally, I haven't experienced any of the issues people are experiencing with overheating, with screen burn-in lately, with the phone breaking easier. Those aside, it is a great phone, and if you have the money for it, by all means, go for it. But for most people, if you think twice about such a large purchase, I say this: if you are on the 14 Pro Max, there's no point in upgrading. If you are on the 12, I'd say it might make sense for you to upgrade. Your phone is a couple years old, the battery is probably in poor shape if you haven't replaced it, and you get enough upgrades to make this a well worth upgrade. You get dynamic island, you get a 48 megapixel shooter, you get a 5x telephoto lens, you get a lighter phone, thinner bezels, you get USB-C. There's a lot to warrant an upgrade from a 12. Now from a 13 Pro Max, this is where, in my opinion, it becomes a little bit blurry. It's not as clear-cut as it is with the 14 Pro Max, where I say it's not worth the upgrade. Neither is it as clear-cut as if you had a 12 Pro Max, and I say definitely go for it. It's still a worthwhile upgrade. The 14 Pro had a dynamic island and a 48 megapixel camera, the 13 Pro didn't. So you get these additional features, but if you're perfectly fine and happy with your 13 Pro Max, I would say hang in there and wait for the 16. That's probably going to be more worthwhile upgrading then. Let me know in the comments section what you thought about the 15 Pro Max and if you are upgrading and from which model. And as always, if you liked the video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, as this encourages me to continue producing content. Until next time, cheers.